In the waning years of the Roman Empire, the city of Alexandria in Egypt remained a dazzling hub of intellectual fervor and scholarly pursuit. Its legendary great library, though diminished from its peak, had cast a long shadow of reverence for knowledge across the Mediterranean world. Into this world of fading papyrus and enduring ideas, a remarkable figure was born around the year 370 AD. Her name was Hypatia, a name that would echo through the corridors of history as a symbol of wisdom and courage. Hypatia was the daughter of Theon, a distinguished mathematician and astronomer at the esteemed Museum of Alexandria. Theon was not only her father but also her dedicated mentor, recognizing her prodigious intellect from a very early age. He provided her with a comprehensive education in mathematics, astronomy, and the philosophical traditions of Plato and Aristotle. Theon believed in a well-rounded education. Enduring Hypatia also engaged in rigorous physical training to achieve a healthy mind in a healthy body. Under his tutelage, her mind flourished, quickly absorbing complex mathematical theories and philosophical arguments. By the time she reached adulthood, Hypatia had surpassed many of the established scholars of her time, including, by some accounts, her own father. Around the year 400 AD, she became the head of the Platonist school in Alexandria, a position of immense prestige and influence. She was a proponent of Neoplatonism, a school of thought that sought to reconcile the philosophical ideas of Plato with a more mystical, hierarchical view of the universe. Neoplatonism taught that the ultimate reality, the One, was a perfect and transcendent being from which all existence emanated. The goal of the Neoplatonist was to ascend back towards this divine source through intellectual and moral purification. Hypatia's teachings, however, were deeply rooted in logic and mathematics, distinguishing her from more mystically inclined contemporaries. She saw the study of mathematics and astronomy not as an end in itself, but as a pathway to understanding the perfect, orderly nature of the cosmos. Her lecture hall was open to all who were earnest in their quest for knowledge, attracting a diverse array of students. Pagans, Christians, and Jews sat side by side, drawn by the clarity of her logic and the eloquence of her speech. One of her most famous pupils was Synesius of Cyrene, who would later become a Christian bishop. His surviving letters to Hypatia are filled with profound admiration for her intellect and refer to her as the philosopher. Hypatia was not just a philosopher. She was a dedicated scientist and mathematician. She collaborated with her father, Theon, on commentaries of classic scientific works. Together, they edited and clarified the 13-volume Almagest by the great astronomer Ptolemy. This foundational text of ancient astronomy mapped the stars and the motions of the planets. Hypatia is believed to have written a commentary on Diophantus's Arithmetica, a key text in the history of algebra d'art. She also wrote a treatise on the conics of Apollonius, Aperga, which explored the mathematical properties of ellipses, parabolas, and hyperbolas. Her goal was always to make these difficult but crucial texts more accessible to her students. Beyond theoretical work, Hypatia was involved in practical scientific invention. He is credited with perfecting the design of the astrolabe, an instrument used to measure the altitude of celestial bodies. This tool was essential for astronomers and navigators for centuries to come. She also developed a hydrometer, an instrument for measuring the specific gravity of liquids. Hypatia was a public figure, known for her modesty, wisdom, and striking presence. She would often appear in public in her philosopher's cloak, moving through the city with confidence and grace. She never married, dedicating her life entirely to the pursuit of knowledge and the education of others. Her celibacy and devotion to philosophy became part of her legend, setting her apart in a society with rigid expectations for women. However, the world around Hypatia was becoming increasingly turbulent and dangerous. The Roman Empire was in a state of flux, and Christianity was rapidly ascending as the dominant religious and political force. Alexandria became a flashpoint for violent conflict between different religious factions. The city was torn by clashes between Christians, Jews, and the remaining adherents of the traditional Greco-Roman pagan faiths. In the year 391 AD, the magnificent Serapeum, a temple dedicated to the Greco-Egyptian god Serapis and a sister institution to the library, was destroyed by a Christian mob. This act of destruction symbolized the growing intolerance for paganism and its associated intellectual traditions. In this volatile climate, Hypatia, a prominent pagan intellectual, occupied a precarious position. Her influence was not just academic. She was also a trusted advisor to the city's political elite. She maintained a close friendship with Orestes, the Roman prefect and imperial governor of Alexandria. Orestes, a Christian himself, deeply respected Hypatia's wisdom and frequently sought her counsel on matters of state. This close relationship, however, would prove to be fatal. A new, ambitious, and ruthless bishop named Cyril had risen to power in Alexandria in 412 AD. Cyril was determined to assert the absolute authority of the church over all aspects of life in the city. He quickly came into a bitter power struggle with the civil authority represented by Orestes. Hypatia, with her influence over Orestes, was seen by Cyril's faction as a major obstacle. She was a pagan, a woman of immense learning, and a friend to their political enemy. Vicious rumors began to circulate through the city's streets and marketplaces. Cyril's supporters started a slander campaign, painting Hypatia as a dangerous sorceress. They claimed she used black magic to bewitch Orestes and prevent him from reconciling with the bishop. This propaganda transformed her from a respected philosopher into a political target and a scapegoat for the city's tensions. The atmosphere in Alexandria grew thick with hatred and religious fanaticism. The situation reached its tragic climax in March of 415 AD, during the Christian season of Lent. As Hypatia was returning home in her chariot, she was ambushed by a frenzied mob. This mob was led by a lector named Peter, a man loyal to Bishop Cyril. They dragged the philosopher from her chariot, their faces contorted with rage. She was hauled through the streets to a recently consecrated church, the Caesareum. Inside the holy building, an act of unspeakable brutality unfolded. The mob, in a fit of religious hysteria, stripped Hypatia naked. They murdered her using ostraca, sharp pieces of pottery tiles or oyster shells. After she was dead, they dismembered her body. Her remains were then taken to a place called Cinaran and burned on a pyre. The news of Hypatia's horrific murder sent a shockwave of horror throughout the Roman Empire. It was a brutal and shocking end for the woman who was celebrated as Alexandria's greatest living philosopher. While Cyril's direct order for the murder was never proven, his incitement of hatred against Hypatia was undeniable. Orestes, heartbroken and defeated, gave up his struggle with Cyril and left Alexandria. The murder of Hypatia marked a dark turning point for the intellectual life of the city. Many scholars, fearing for their own safety, fled Alexandria in the aftermath. The spirit of open inquiry and rational debate that she had championed was effectively extinguished by mob violence. Hypatia's death is often seen as the symbolic end of classical antiquity's intellectual tradition. In the centuries that followed, her story was suppressed or retold by Christian chroniclers who sought to vilify her. However, her legacy was never completely erased. She was rediscovered during the Enlightenment, where she was hailed as a martyr for science and reason. Voltaire and other thinkers saw her murder as a prime example of the dangers of religious fanaticism. In more recent times, she has been embraced by feminists as a pioneering figure who broke through the constraints of her gender. Hypatia's life stands as a testament to the power of the human intellect and the pursuit of knowledge. Her tragic death serves as a chilling reminder of how easily the light of reason can be extinguished by the darkness of ignorance and hatred. She remains the astronomer who lit up Alexandria, a beacon of wisdom whose light, though violently quenched, continues to inspire across the ages. Her dedication to Neoplatonism was a quest for the divine through the rigorous application of logic. She taught that the universe was knowable and that mathematics was the language of its divine creator. This rational approach to spirituality put her at odds with faith-based doctrines that demanded belief without question. Her students were taught to question, to analyze, and to seek proof, a method that was seen as threatening by dogmatists. The political stage of Alexandria was a microcosm of the entire empire's struggles. Hypatia navigated this treacherous environment with dignity and an unwavering commitment to her principles. She believed that philosophy could transcend the bitter divisions of sect and creed. Her very existence was a challenge to the patriarchal norms of the late Roman world. She was a free woman, a public intellectual, and a respected authority in a world dominated by men. The mob that killed her was not just a random collection of thugs. It was an organized force. They were the Parabolani, a brotherhood of monks ostensibly dedicated to charity, but often used as muscle by the bishop. Their fanaticism was a tool, sharpened by rhetoric and aimed at a specific political target. The choice of a church as the site of her murder was a deliberate act of symbolic desecration and dominance. It was a declaration that there was no sanctuary for pagan wisdom within the new Christian order. The burning of her body was an attempt to utterly annihilate her, to leave no trace for veneration. But ideas, unlike bodies, cannot be so easily destroyed. Her Neoplatonist school may have dispersed, but its teachings were carried by her students across the Mediterranean. The commentaries she wrote preserved and clarified knowledge that might otherwise have been lost. Her story became a cautionary tale, whispered among philosophers in the centuries that followed. The loss of Hypatia was a wound from which the intellectual life of the West took centuries to recover. She represents the brilliant, fragile light of civilization that must be constantly guarded. Her name is forever linked with the Library of Alexandria, a bastion of human knowledge. She was the last great astronomer of the classical world, a final, brilliant star before a long night. Tools she perfected, like the astrolabe, would eventually help guide Europe out of the Dark Ages. Her advocacy for a rational, mathematical understanding of the universe laid groundwork for the scientific revolution. Hypatia's Neoplatonism was an attempt to find unity in a fractured world. She saw in the heavens a reflection of divine perfection, accessible through reason. Her classroom was a sanctuary of logic in an age of rising fanaticism. The conflict between Cyril and Orestes was a battle for the soul of Alexandria. Hypatia was caught in the crossfire, a casualty of a war between church and state. The accusations of witchcraft were a classic tactic to dehumanize and demonize an opponent. By turning her into a monster, the mob could justify their monstrous actions. The brutality of her death was meant to be a spectacle, a warning to all who would dare to defy the new order. It was an act of terror, designed to silence dissent and consolidate power. Yet, the silence they created was a void that echoed with her name. The legacy of Hypatia is a complex tapestry of history, myth, and symbolism. She is the philosopher, the scientist, the martyr, and the feminist icon. Her story compels us to defend the principles of free inquiry and tolerance in our own time. The astronomer of Alexandria may have been killed, but her light was never truly put out. Her influence persisted in the quiet work of scholars who fled the city's new regime, carried her methods and her memory to Athens, to Constantinople, and beyond. The Neoplatonic Academy in Athens would flourish for another century, a direct intellectual descendant of her school. Hypatia's work on conic sections was fundamental for understanding planetary orbits. She stood at a crossroads of history, embodying the best of a world that was dying. Her commitment to reason was a defiant act in an age of rising dogma. The image of her, a woman of science, being torn apart by a religious mob is a hauntingly powerful one. It encapsulates the eternal conflict between enlightenment and ignorance. Hypatia's life was a testament to the idea that knowledge belongs to everyone, regardless of gender or creed. Her story is not just a tragedy, but also a source of profound inspiration. She reminds us that one person, armed with courage and a brilliant mind, can indeed light up the world.